Hey everybody, this is the weekly video commencing on Monday, January the 27th, 2025. And there's going to be this week a new moon on Wednesday the 29th. There's a new moon every 4 weeks. A new moon directs our priorities and attention to a new domain of life. It depends, it's in Aquarius, so how Aquarius impacts your sun sign, your rising sign in general, or if you know your horoscope, what house sector is the new moon drawing your attention? Now, the 4 or 5 days, usually up to a week before a new moon, so let's say from last Wednesday to this Wednesday, the 29th, you're in the last week of the previous new moon in Capricorn. And so the last week is in overall generalities about wrapping up, bringing closure, endings, or planting seeds, preparing for the next cycle. Now, the last new moon in Capricorn is always the end of December, beginning into January. The new moon in Capricorn makes perfect sense going into the new year because Capricorn is very goal-oriented, very work, career-oriented. We're going into a new year. And so there's this general consciousness, if you will, of the new year and what do we want to achieve. In Capricorn, let's get organized. Let's focus on how to achieve our goals for the new year. Then we get to the new moon in Aquarius, which is any time from the last week of January into February. Aquarius is very different from Capricorn. So now as we've gone into January, and you were really focused on your goals and accomplishments and business and career for the most part, Aquarius is about looking to the future, thinking out of the box, being more innovative, and really, and setting up your goals, the new goals for the coming year. So that starts on Wednesday, but you don't want to start and you don't want to initiate and begin any new projects on the day of the new moon because the new moon in the night sky is very dark. So astrologically, you don't have a lot of conscious awareness or insight. You don't have the clarity of where you want the next 4 weeks. And with Aquarius, how to shake things up, try new things, look to the future. The other thing is, this week, there's going to be a number of moon void of course periods. Sometimes you see a lot, sometimes you see one or none of any consequence for the week. Moon void of course, again, is when the moon goes from sign to sign every 2.5 days. But as it's going into each new sign, it's starting to make aspects to other planets in the solar system. Now, that could be the moon is forming a square, an opposition, a sextile. But when it gets to the last planet that it's making an aspect to, then there's no more activity until the moon changes signs and starts all over again. So when it's no longer making any planetary activity, that's called the void of course period. And the energy is unproductive and flat. I often say it's a little bit like a mini Mercury in retrograde. You don't want to initiate important new projects because the energy isn't there to really propel you forward. Now, it's good to just reflect, to rest, or to stay with this, wrapping up and staying with the same routine. But overall, we want to really look at these times of the moon void of course because you don't want to initiate in new events and new projects. Now, before I break all this down now on a daily basis, if you enjoy these kinds of videos and would like to see more of them, click like and subscribe. And don't forget to click on the notification bell so you can receive the latest postings. All right, on Monday, a few days, 2 days before the new moon of new energies, new focus, on Monday we start the work week with the moon in Capricorn. The moon represents the general public tone and reaction. Capricorn is, with that moon in Capricorn, it's very work-oriented, very grounded, very sensible, and it's good for starting the new work week. And by noon into early afternoon, that Capricorn moon will be in harmony, called a sextile, to pragmatic, realistic, grounding Saturn, to business Saturn. Saturn is the planet that rules or is associated with Capricorn. So this moon in Capricorn sextiling Saturn early afternoon, right afternoon Pacific time, is this real kind of maturing, grounding, wrapping up old projects, because we're wrapping up the last new moon. Also, in the evening, 7 o'clock or so, Pacific time, discerning Mercury, the planet of what you're thinking, planning, what's on your mind, had been in Capricorn for a number of weeks. So also your mind was on accomplishing goals, in harmony with that new moon in Capricorn. But on Monday evening, Pacific time, the Mercury enters Aquarius. And so the mind is starting to get ready to be open to new progressive ideas, to thinking a lot of originality, thinking out of the box, looking to the future, looking much more open to technology, which are all the qualities of Aquarius. Now, on Tuesday, and it'll be there for a number of weeks, on Tuesday, the moon continues in Capricorn. You're still trying to wrap up the old, trying to finish old projects, but the Capricorn moon will go void of course at 7:49 a.m. until 11:32 a.m., at which point the moon goes into Aquarius for 2.5 days. So that's Tuesday afternoon Pacific time. It goes into Aquarius, getting ready to set up the new moon in Aquarius on Wednesday Pacific time. But Mercury just went into Aquarius on Monday evening, or depending on where you are in the world, maybe very early Tuesday morning. And discerning, intellectual, rational, negotiating Mercury, because always remember Mercury is the messenger god in mythology. Mercury can bring you information, can bring you news. But the Mercury, as it goes into Aquarius once a year, but depending if it goes in a retrograde period, which means it could then go back and forth over a certain point. But this Mercury is going to cross Pluto the last half of Tuesday, Pacific time, into the first part of Wednesday during the beginning of the new moon. Pluto rules the underworld. Now, this can play out in many ways. Your mind, your curiosity, your interest, Mercury, could be on research, the underworld, investigating, solving problems, seeking secrets. Pluto rules the underworld, things that are hidden. But Pluto is associated with psychology because it's associated with transformation, and that can mean the occult and astrology. So you may be from Tuesday into Wednesday, since you're listening to this astrology forecast, many people might start getting really interested in astrology. Or maybe you just decided to start watching various astrologers online, and maybe you're starting to get really into it on Tuesday into Wednesday. Now, we get into Wednesday, 4:36 a.m. Pacific time is exactly when the new moon in Aquarius begins. And so it looks to the future, it's progressive, it's innovative, sometimes it's shocking, as it can be very liberating and rebellious. This new moon, and a lot of what I've just said depends on that new moon in Aquarius. What house sector is it triggering? Is it forming any positive or challenging aspects to planets in your own horoscope? But just this new moon is going to be in harmony, a trine to Jupiter. And that's setting this priorities and this focus for the next 4 weeks with the new moon. Jupiter in harmony with the new moon brings a lot of luck, optimism. The significations of Jupiter will be more easily accessed. Seeking higher knowledge, going back to school, getting that degree, that's a Jupiter trait. Updating your website, doing or launching a new website or internet marketing. That's the Jupiter, because Jupiter is also about publishing and media, along with education, like spreading yourself out to yourself and your ideas out to the world, or traveling out to the world. And since that Aquarius is about looking to the future, being excellent with Jupiter, doesn't have to be on Wednesday, but over these next several weeks, many of you will be making educational plans, publishing plans, but travel plans. Maybe your travel plans for the summer of June, July, August in the northern latitudes. But basically, to have a new moon with this new focused energy being very favorably supported by Jupiter, a lot of you, and it depends on your individual horoscope, but in general for the world, there's more optimism. Now, on Thursday, the moon continues in eclectic, liberating, progressive Aquarius, but it goes void, of course, 3:29 a.m. until 2:52 p.m. Pacific time, at which point the moon goes into Pisces. Aquarius is, for the public tone, Aquarius is very impartial, rational, intellectual. It's more kind of emotionally detached intellectual energies. When you go into Pisces, it's a big swing of energies, because Pisces is of the heart. Aquarius is of the mind. The moon in Pisces might be more people inclined for charity, for empathy, or getting more involved in the spiritual world. That's Pisces. Now, on Thursday, that long period, what is it, 7, 9, whatever hours of the moon void, of course, Pacific time, this could be a very favorable time for doing a lot of reflecting and from the past. Now, the sun, however, will be in the best flow of energy to Jupiter. Now, that was being set up with the new moon in harmony with Jupiter, but now the sun is exactly in this tight support system with Jupiter. So everything I said about the new moon with Jupiter in Thursday, it just really continues to expand your optimism, making all these travel plans, educational plans, but best to not be making important new plans or projects or commitments until the moon goes into Pisces at 2:52 p.m. Pacific time. On Friday, the 31st, the moon is continuing in emotional, sensitive Pisces. But by mid-morning Pacific time, the moon will be squaring or in tension with Jupiter. Now, Jupiter is all this optimism, expansiveness, that emotional, dreamy moon in Pisces in a hard angle to Jupiter. Many of you might be more prone to be fantasizing about all these dreamy, new, inflated possibilities. But by evening, 8-9 p.m. Pacific time, the moon will now cross over reality, grounding, restricted Saturn. So you want to be careful on Friday, because mid-morning Pacific time, you could be feeling incredibly idealistic, looking to the future, making really big plans that may be over the top. Because by 8-9 p.m. Pacific time, all of that idealistic, empathetic moon in Pisces is now grounded and having a reality check with Saturn. So you could be starting the day with all these big dreams and hopefulness, and then needing to pull back or later in the day, or realizing you've hit a wall and all of those inflated dreams are unrealistic. Just stay grounded. You'll be in a better shape. Then we get to Saturday, February the 1st. The moon is continuing in Pisces. But it goes void, of course, 2:06 p.m. to 5:10 p.m., at which point the moon goes into fiery, impatient Aries. When the moon's in Pisces, very different from Aries, Pisces is more reflective, introspective, more personal, wanting to make a difference in the world, help those less fortunate. These are some key words for Pisces. But then we go into Aries at 5:10 p.m. Pacific time throughout the rest of the weekend. Aries is very courageous, taking charge. You know, Aries is ruled by the ram, like ramming in all new ideas, being impatient. And it can be a little bit kind of ego-oriented, it's self-absorbed. So it's very different than when the moon was in Pisces. But remember, when it's void, of course, for those approximately 3 hours, and it's in Pisces, you want to really just reflect on what's been going on. Then that moon goes into Aries, and you're ready to take action and really go for it. But all through the day, Venus, planet of love, cooperation, creativity, Venus, what we desire, is going to cross over Neptune. Unless Venus is retrograding, going back and forth over a planet, Venus will, for the most part, only cross over Neptune once a year, because Venus goes through all the 12 signs, unless it retrogrades, once a year. So the moon's is in intuitive, compassion, spiritual healing, Pisces. But Pisces is ruled by Neptune. And here's loving, pleasurable Venus crossing over Neptune. This can trigger a great deal of unconditional love. It can be a major creative peak if you're an artist, or you could just go read a good book, watch a TV show, go to a musical concert through the theater, and with that creative Venus, with magical Neptune, you could lose yourself in the creative dream and fantasy. But when it comes to romance, you got to be careful, because you could get really swept away with a new infatuation and be falling in love with love. So just stay grounded. And then finally on Sunday, the moon in fiery assertive Aries. It's a good day because mid-morning Pacific time, the moon's in harmony with Mercury. So there's a lot of passion, moon in Aries, with conversations or writing and speaking. That's Mercury. By noon, early afternoon, now the moon is in harmony with Jupiter. You could be feeling very optimistic, making long plans, thinking about traveling, all those Jupiter things. And then late afternoon, now the moon is in Aries, is in harmony with the sun in Aquarius, because it's fire sign of Aries and an air sign of Aquarius. And so when the sun and the moon are in harmony, it's as if everything is flowing more easily. There's less confrontation and tension. And it's a really good day, maybe for really reflecting and discussing and making plans about whatever creative energies or romantic energies was really awakened on Saturday. I want to thank you for watching. If you like information on how to book an astrology reading or to check out my 2-question offer, please visit my website at gardino.co. That's .co. Until next week, be safe and well.